And it's time for the first double header of the season as we go racing at Iowa Speedway. It's rounds 8 and 9 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan as we hit the short track. Just 2 weeks ago, we saw Oliver Bohlin taking victory in a caution-filled race at Pocono Speedway that saw him putting himself just ahead of Jesper Eriksson as we finished behind the pace truck. Hopefully, we don't get so many cautions tonight, but you never know. On this 7-8 mile circuit is the Bohlin's double header, and we will have race number 1, of course, and then we will have a reversed 25 positions for race number 2. So that is going to cause a lot of carnage. It's myself, Cam Roger, Una Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you through this midpoint of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. Here's where we've been so far. We started all the way back in August at Auto Club for working our way through a variety of different circuits. And of course, we are looking at some very interesting standings, but we are there in the middle. Iowa double header. We work our way towards Daytona in February for the end of the regular season, and for the top 15 drivers to lock themselves into the playoffs, starting in Las Vegas and finishing in Phoenix. But that is all for 2025, and we still have 3 races to go this year. Linus Broström, he leads the points, but he's yet to get a win and lock himself into the playoffs. Of course, he's probably going to be fine on the points, but getting that win would absolutely confirm that. Jesper Eriksson is in second place. He's got 2 wins to his name, the only driver with multiple victories so far this season. Eriksson is looking strong there as well in third place, before obviously a load of other drivers up there. A few drivers sort of jumping up in recent races. Peter Helmberg, he's jumping up there inside the top 10. Dan Paples has jumped inside top 10 as well. Of course, Marcus Hogman in 4th place, who's had a number of good stage points, which is getting him up there towards the front. We work our way into the qualifying session, and I wonder just how important this might be, or is strategy going to be something quite important? Because one thing, Ewan, when we get to the race today is, of course, we have the slightly shorter races and we have the cautions, but pit stops are going to be less important today as such in some ways. Of course, if a nice timely caution comes out, you're going to pit for some tyres, but it's going to be a lot more about the racing action, I think, in the shorter races.
Yeah, one of the ways in which those pit stops have been changed, of course, is that you actually don't need any fuel for race 1. You actually won't even be starting with a full tank, which is probably the first and only time that's going to happen this season. So that's a bit odd, but there will be pit stops, I am sure. The drop-off time is fairly severe in terms of tyres, 2 seconds at the very end of those 95 laps. And so if there is a caution later on, especially in race 1, will there be some pitters? I suspect there will be some, but not all. Then in race 2, there may be a bit more of a consensus, because you've only got 1 set of tyres to go on to in these races. You get given 4 for the day, 2 sets to use in each race. That's 1 to put on in each race. That is pretty difficult to spread across the laps. So it will be interesting to see how it's different today to what we see in the other longer races this season.
Yes, so it's going to be a different vibe from what we saw back at Pocono a couple of weeks ago. Of course, a couple of weeks before that, we're at the road course at Indianapolis. But for today, here is your grid. Linus Broström still searching for that first win. He gets himself the pole position by half a tenth to Dan Holmer, of course, our winner back in Bristol. Jesper Eriksson, your championship leader when we look at the race wins. He's in 3rd place. Lundberg, that's a good qualifying from him, up into 4th place. Dan Solo, this is a big point for the race as well. Alcantech have returned. He is going to be there, and of course alongside him is going to be Eriksson. Then we have Marcus Hogman in 7th place. Yokoshu is in 8th. Helmbro Blixt inside your top 10. Gunnarsson, your champion from a couple of years ago, is in P11, and Oliver Bohlin, your race winner last time out, is in P12. Holmbom and Broström are in your 7th row, with Uvenen, Fredriksson, Tidemo and Forsland rounding out your top 18. We've got a big list of teams here today. AKA Hero, another new team. Leppert is there in P19. Auto is in P20. Rheinbach, Dahlstrand, Gantz, Motin as well. A few new names coming to the grid. That's what we'd like to see in the second half of the season. Tier, Wildebar, Wang, Hagström, Kinnell and Schott down in P30. Before we have Skoglund, Nordgren, Dylan Platt as well, another new driver. Eriksson in P34. Stiller and Pfeffer at the back. Once again, Marcus Stiller not qualifying. He will start from the back, but he's had some very strong results, finishing in P4 at Pocono. And we'll actually get you a slightly updated points graphic post Pocono. It's still Broström, Eriksson up inside the top 4, but Holmer jumps Hogman due to the previous results. And then look at Oliver Bohlin as well. Big jump up inside the top 10. He was on the cusp of not making it into the playoffs on points, but that win locks him in. Marcus Stiller, despite starting from the back of the grid every race, as I was mentioning, he's P8 in the championship. And also Patrick Pfeffer up inside your top 10, jumping 7 places at the previous race. But Ewan, the drivers getting ready to come out of the pit road. It's only going to be something a little bit different as we go to this first race of 79 laps.
Absolutely, a little bit shortened from what we was promised at the start of the season, where we were going to have 135 kilometres in 96 laps. That's not quite going to happen this time around. It's just over 110 kilometres over the course of 79. But I think this is a real chance for people to gain points very quickly tonight. These are short races, unlike what we're going to have for the rest of the season. 2 sets of stage points available on lap 30 of race 1 and lap 45 of race 2, and only half an hour possibly if we go green the whole way in this first race. That's a real chance over a short distance for someone to cause a surprise and get that first win of the season, which Linus Broström is going to try and do from the pole position.
They only have 1 set of new tyres to go into. That is certainly going to be quite something. When do you make that pit stop? If so, there's multiple cautions. You don't necessarily want to be the person coming in at that very first one using the new tyres up early, but then if you wait and then you don't get to use them, maybe you miss out that way. Lap 30 is the stage, 79 laps this first on. The result, top 25 will be reversed for race 2, so you really want to grab your points in this opening race if you can do so. It's going to be a tough race around here. Short track, 7th, 8th mile. Everyone knows how awkward these races can be. We had a interesting doubleheader at North Wilkes where we actually went green for the whole of the first race, where Araldson won. I wonder if we'll see that again, or if the pace truck is going to come in. There's Jokshuren, the 34 machine, independent driver, but he's doing very, very good up there so far this season. Maybe not quite getting all of the results that he would have wanted, but he's been up there fighting inside the top 5, top 10 at pretty much every race so far. As the pace truck comes in, Linus Broström will get the Bohlin's double-header underway as we go racing for the first time at Iowa Speedway. 79 laps. Green flag comes out, and it's a solid start in behind from Dan Holmer. He is going to file in there in 2nd place very nicely indeed. But in behind is Jesper Eriksson, who keeps on in that 3rd place.
Yeah, Ericsson was trying so hard to not jump the start, but anticipate it anyway, that he nearly caused a complete concertina crash before the green flag there, with everyone running into the back of one another. So thankfully that disaster was averted, but it meant that he went backwards. And give some credit to Dan Holmer as well here. He's made a very good start, and look at him down the inside at turn 1 for the lead.
It's good, the big up and under through turns 3 and 4. Oh, he has a bit of a wobble on there. He manages to catch it, doesn't actually get a good exit though. Off turn 2, the back straight is so short around here, and also the front straight is basically a continuous curve with about 14 degrees of banking. So it's basically one big bowl as we're going to have Jesper Eriksson now diving up the inside. Could it be a Simrace Sweden 1-2 as we get already onto the 3rd lap of the race?
Broström up high, and caution. Just 2 laps gone, and caution flies here at Iowa. Emil Reinbach seems to be one of the drivers involved, along with Stefan Wang as well, who I can see dropping to the back of the field. Unfortunate that it was such a short opening run of this race.
Yeah, nice battle though between those top 3 already. Definitely showing the difference of line really has an effect on your exit onto the straights around here, if you can call them straights. As I'm mentioning, so fast. And yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be a few drivers dropping to the back. You're very right with Wang and Reinbach, and they're quite far off the back as well. So I wonder if they'll be dropping down pit road for some repairs. Actually, there's loads of dust here on the inside and smoke. I wonder if that's a telltale sign of some damage.
Is that someone engines going, I wonder? Number 99 was the one that first went around. Oh, smacked as well by the 85. So number 99 is Emil Reinbach, and 85 is Stefan Wang. Wow, oh, goodness me. Have you ever seen front right suspension broken so much? My God.
I mean, that is completely gone there for Stefan Wang. He's definitely going to be coming down pit road. Oh, huge hit there. That is not what we want to see. And yeah, the front right wheel there is saying that the floor is lava, and he doesn't want to be going onto that one. That's definitely going to be a tow back to pit road. This is going to be just a slide you're going to see for the 99 right at the exit of turn 4. He tries to save it, can't do so. But the issue is these cars being so long blocks the road for the 85.
Yeah, that is a shame. But I mean, that'll be a case at any circuit. I think if someone's put in front of the field like that this early on in the race, I think that would be very likely to happen. So unfortunate, really, for the both of them. That's Wang's first involvement in a caution since he brought out the caution at Bristol. Only it was caution number 15 that day. I hope it's not going to be one of 15 here today.
Yes, that would that would not be great. Maybe over the 2 races, but we are being told in terms of the time limit, still time limit for the race, we can only have 4 cautions in race 1 and 5 in race 2 before we hit the time limit. So that's only a maximum of 9 before we get to the time limit. So hopefully we don't get to that, because we did finish, and of course, underneath the pace truck in Pocono, which is always a little bit of a subdued finish.
It's the only time it's happened this season, thankfully, and Pocono had 9 cautions, which is second only to Bristol this season. Yeah, it is a bit of an anticlimactic finish, and it was back in the old days when we used to have some of those anticlimactic finishes in NASCAR racing that they decided, why don't we put overtime and green-white checkers and all kinds of complicated things that every NASCAR race these days seems to end in. So thankfully we didn't have that on that day either, otherwise we could have been here forever. It was also, of course, the second time we lost time or lost laps to time in the race. As you just outlined, it's very more possible actually tonight for us to lose laps to time, in my opinion, because only 4 is the maximum we can have here today in race 1, for example. That does seem very possible, even in just 79 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, of course, changes the idea with the strategies just a little bit as well. As mentioned, we don't need to take fuel in this first race. Fuel goes about 95 laps or so, at least under green flag conditions. In race 2, we have 107 laps. And maybe with a few cautions, you might see some drivers trying to eke that out, because, of course, that's 12 laps extra. But the lap is so short around here, you never know if that's going to work out. But then it comes down to the tyre strategies. Drop off could be around 2 seconds, which is quite a lot considering how short this track is. There is Stefan Wang. Look at that front right wheel. I don't think, even if you get, good old Bob the mechanic to sit on that, I don't think that is going down anytime soon. There's going to have to be some suspension work. But of course, he will try to get back out on track, because every point is going to count in this championship. And talking of points, remember the Alcantech cars, they are out there. In theory, they can still point their way into the playoffs. There's enough races to do so, but let's see how good they can get their results today. We come back to the green flag. It's Dan Holman now who leads the field to green. The Bohlin's doubleheader gets underway for the second time of asking, and what a start that is. We're already getting Eric Lundberg looking very racy in that 4th position, trying to challenge around the outside of Jesper Eriksson. Completely different lines. Brostrom goes up high, Eriksson down low, and that should be 2nd place for Eriksson.
Well, sometimes searching up high as you can be a good thing, but Brostrom there, I think, made a mistake more than anything else. Holman now goes very wide indeed, as there's lap traffic here already. That was one of the, I think that's Wang, isn't it, coming out of the pit lane? Excuse me, it's Dylan Platt making his way out the pit lane there after damage, so he's going to be a bit of a problem now for everybody. He's staying low, to be fair to him, trying to stay out the way, but it's going to really shake up some of these battles in the field.
I'm already seeing a lot of drivers wiggling on the exit of turns 2 and 4. Those rear tyres are not going to like that if we get a long green flag run. Round the outside is Dan Solo in the 13 machine. Of course, one of the strongest drivers, getting himself in the playoffs last season. He comes back and already battling inside the top 5. He's on the outside of Alex Aronson in the 24 machine. And he's got 2 teammates of Blix and Gunnarsson rounding up behind him.
And in terms of their season ambitions, by the way, for all of these drivers who have joined tonight, and hopefully we will be seeing them throughout the remaining 7 rounds of this championship, it's actually a bit more difficult than you might expect for them to qualify for the playoffs, even with a win in your in system, because of course you need to win and finish in top 30 in the points. Now 30 already has 140 points. That's going to be quite difficult for any one of these new drivers to catch.
Yeah, because they're not just getting 140 points, it's catching 140 points for everyone else who will be continuing to increase their totals as well. So big, difficult battle here for the Alcantech cars, but there's a reason why they've rejoined, I would assume, is also to have a bit of fun. And so far, we're getting a nice second run here at Iowa. The 2 Sim Race Sweden cars are going off at the front, but Brostrom is keeping them happy. And now it's Lundberg who's trying to battle for this 4th place. This is one of the highest positions that car has run so far this season in normal conditions. Contact in the background, one of the drivers into the wall.
I think I'm Shoot, it was from 10th place, and Oscar Fredriksson moves down the inside. Oh, big crash though. Fredriksson initially got through well, but the contact with Shu is made, and he's clipped by someone on the way past as well. Even though he's next to the wall, he has been clipped. Lap 13, another caution after just 5 laps.
Yes, that was a big second hit as well. That is a big shame. Yokushu there making some contact on the rear right side of the 112. Sends the 112 up into the wall. We'll have to see again just exactly who potentially would have been at fault for that. Because there was a bit of sliding going on that caused the contact. We already saw the 34 up inside the barriers on the exit turn 4. I wonder if there was some damage that maybe just unsettled his car in 1 and 2.
We'll have to we'll get a replay in a few moments' time, but it's been a caution fraught early on in this race. This is where it started, right the way back from turn 4. So Shu just grabs the wall out there. He's got Fredriksson down the inside. So there was a bit of contact with Holmbom as well, and then Fredriksson gets hooked around by Shu, and who's in the middle of the road now, and it's pretty unbelievable that everybody avoided him there.
Yeah, the contact was with the 10 of Holmbom, as you say. From that angle, it's hard to say if the 10 came up or if the 34 came down. Their lines sort of crossed over a little bit. Hard to say exactly, but that's really unfortunate for Fredriksson because he was the car in front of that battle, but got turned, and that is a big shame because Fredriksson, it's not necessarily like he's having a bad season as such, but he is down in 11th place in the standings. He does have a win and 3 top 5s to his name, but you potentially would expect him to be a little bit higher, especially being in that Sim Race Sweden team. And yeah, from that angle, it does look like maybe the 34 went down just by a few inches, but that was enough to make the contact.
I think part of that, though, was because he got unsettled by Holmbom on the inside there. The 10 sort of got into him as well, so I think that's a very difficult one to call indeed there. And so I'm unsure as to where to call it. Maybe this will give us a better idea. He's already really loose. You can see that out of turn number 4, but what about into 1? Watch for Fredriksson down the inside. There you go. See, I think he's turning left. Oh, it looks like he's turning left because he's being clipped around by Holmbom there by the looks of that.
Yes, definitely a fun one for the stewards. We'll leave it up to them after the race to have a look at. We've had 16 of 79 laps, so already on to the second caution of the day. Oh, let's see it once again. Yeah, so a couple of Sim Race Sweden cars ganging up on him there. It's very, very difficult to tell exactly who they're going to put fault on. And I wouldn't be surprised if Shu, of course, would have been slightly loose anyway due to some extra damage. So he's down pit road. Dylan Platt is back in. I'd assume getting some more optional repairs after that first one. Reinbach and Wang still haven't left pit road from the first caution.
No fast repairs in this series, of course, and so it can take you quite a long time to repair that damage, and it will do for the 4 or 5 drivers who are down pit lane at the moment. You asking, by the way, why Fredriksson has seen himself now drop outside of the top 10 now in the points for such a strong driver. It is a bit strange, but I think 2 things are worth noting. One thing mainly, the fact he's missed 2 out of 7 races so far. That's going to damage you quite a lot in terms of total points. I still think he'll be fine, and he should make the playoffs with his win. He shouldn't drop outside the top 30, but he has missed 2 rounds, which is part of the reason why. But other than that, I can't really seem to put my finger on anything, really. According to my record, he's not even been involved in a caution since Bristol, much like we saw with Wang earlier on, getting involved in one today for the first time in ages. So, I don't really understand why he's so far down, other than the fact he has missed quite a lot of rounds in proportion to how many we've had.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe that is the reason, as we saw Dylan Platt there, though I do believe he may have gone back down pit road to get some more repairs. So I have to see how we go with that one. We haven't really seen loads of the racing just yet, Ewan, as there's Yokushu. God, his car's absolutely wrinkled up there. I know the livery doesn't help with that one, but yeah, definitely a car not enjoying the time out there. But yeah, you haven't necessarily seen loads of battling just yet, but it looks like this track is pretty raceable, and you can sort of do the up and under out of these corners.
Yeah, that has been very encouraging so far, I think, the racing that we've seen. And just the variety of lines as well. I mean, I call Brostrom's run near the wall a mistake. It's looking less and less like a mistake, to be honest, and more like a tactical ploy to try and find some grip, to be honest. So I don't know whether that was a mistake on that occasion, or whether that is an actual line, but it certainly seems that they're going very high here, and that is helping racing no end, which is a fantastic thing. Hopefully we can see some similarly good racing through the remainder of this race.
Indeed, still, of course, 60 laps to go. But remember, we have the first stage at lap 30. So that's something to look out for. An extra 10 stage points for the winner, going down to 1 point for P10, which is currently being held in that battle between Forsland and his teammate Holmbaum. So hopefully they can sort that one out. We get back to green flag racing. The Bohlin's double header gets underway once more. At the front, Dan Holmer, who took the race lead in that first stint, is still holding on to it. Up the inside is Linus Brustrom. He gets back into second place, where Ericsson is trying to fight on that outside line. He's got a teammate just up ahead of him. Did a bit of a run as a 24 goes up high.
Very high and scraped the wall there by the looks of things. Lundberg looks to the inside but can't do anything. Ericsson gets down low and does quite well there. Still side by side between Ericsson and Holmer. We've seen the inside line driver restarting or starting the race prevail until now. Jesper Ericsson takes the lead.
He certainly does. He went a bit loose last time. He had Brostrom on his outside. We're 2x2 in the background as well. This track, as we mentioned, been very raceable so far. Aronson trying to make it 3 wide in turn 4. Backs out of that one. Just see him giving a little bit of a dab of the brakes to try and not cause a crash in this one. As we go on to lap 21 of the race so far, these laps will tick off very quickly. Just over 20 seconds a lap.
However, we are way above the cautions per lap number that we need to be getting to the end of this race in terms of actually doing 79 laps. We're way over the average at the moment, so need a long, good green flag run here. But the way these guys are racing, it does look unlikely at times, willing to door bang even this early on. Brostrom versus Holmer continues into turn 2. Holmer's not had a brilliant restart here. He's already lost the lead. Now he looks like losing second place as well.
He might just do this. Battling is letting Ericsson get away at the front of the field. We're now seeing the 24 once again diving up the inside of turns 3 and 4. Got Blix coming in strong on the outside line as well. Aronson with he came up high. I thought initially that was to block off the 95, but I think he was actually just struggling for traction.
Very close in towards 1 and 2. Brostrom should have it now. He's got his nose ahead. Oh, careful. Holmer there, very nearly. Comes straight up into the side of him. Look at Eric Blicht as well. On board we go with him as he looked down the inside of 3 wide. This is very, very raceable so far. I've been very impressed with this circuit in the first 23 laps.
And it's good to have 3 different teams battling here, so they are going hard at it. And remember, the Alcansett cars, they have nothing to lose, really. Oh, big check up through turns 1 and 2 from Holmer there. That is going to allow Lundberg actually to get down the inside of Blix as they're all checking back up. We've got, look at all the Alcansett cars jumping in here. So the 95, the 33, and the 13, all trying to go side by side as Holmer holds it around the outside.
Whoa, watch out in the middle, Eric Lundberg. That was very close. Solo is in an impossibly tight gap on the right-hand side now. He's going to stay out right next to the wall. They're 3 wide here. Got to be careful, the teammates, that they don't completely crash into one another here. Thankfully, they sort it out, but this is lively stuff. And Dan Holm, for whatever reason, excellent on the first 2 starts, the start and the first restart. He's nowhere now in the second restart.
Yeah, just can't seem to get himself back in the rhythm. The issue is he's been fighting all the time. And look at them stacking up behind him. He's got like 7 cars following in there in behind. And that is basically that battle for the top 10. So that's purple car of Gunnarsson. He used to have the number 1 last season. He's now into the 33. He's holding on to that 1 final stage point as it stands. And look at this battle go. They're not getting far away from each other anytime soon.
And those stage points, of course, coming up in only 4 laps' time. This is very close by indeed. This is the longest green flag run of the race so far. Say it quietly because they're fighting really hard at the moment. But if we're to keep going and suggest that this race is going to get to the end, not on laps, or not on time instead, we need to go another 30 laps or so from here. There's a long way to go for how hard they're racing right now, with 3 to go until the points are dished out.
They are racing very nicely so far, but also very tight indeed. Lundberg, he was almost up into P4. He's now going to be dropping potentially outside the top 10 as he's having a bad run of it. Oliver Bohlin, the 72, he's trying to get involved and just nick inside that top 10. Lap 20, come on to 29, 2 to go on the stage.
Here we go. They're just under 3 kilometres to go, and can Lundberg hold on for his final point? Oliver Bohlin is very close indeed behind him, and of course has the one of the most most stage points, second most of anyone this season, so would like another one. Looking down the inside, it looks though like Jesper Eriksson further up front is going to get that stage win for the second time this season. Just one more time around for him to get it.
And as Holmer goes up into the wall, the 13 is going to get the run down the front straight. This is the final lap of the stage. An extra 10 points will be awarded to the winner, going down to one place. That is held by Erik Lundberg as it stands. But let's see if Oliver Wallin's going to dive up the inside there and nick that final point. We'll have to find out in turns 3 and 4 what opening stage here at Iowa. Around the final corner, Jesper Eriksson is going to get the stage win. Brewster in second, Aronson in third, all the way down to the top 10. Who is going to nick at the line? I think Lundberg just by thousandths of a second got that final point.
I think he did, yeah. So Oliver Wallin will indeed lose a bit of ground as far as points go. Alexander Aronson, by finishing in third place here, will pick up another 8 points, and he will still have the most stage points of anybody with 47 so far this season, which is quite a tally. That's about what you get for an entire race win. It's really useful to keep accumulating these stage points, as the driver of the 24 has done.
But as you see, we continue racing in the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. No stage break here. And of course, no pit stop expected either in this 79 opening race at Iowa. We have a second race coming up with a reverse grid of the top 25 of how these guys finish. And I doubt they're going to be in this order with the amount of racing that we've seen so far. They have got into a bit more of a single file formation as this stint wears on. And also, we are looking at a drop-off of potentially 2 seconds a lap over the course of the full stint. And with that massive tyre drop-off, you're going to see drivers sliding around, making mistakes, and opening the door for another driver.
Let's see if someone can ram the door open now, because it does seem that we are a little bit more single file, we are a little bit more sorted out here in this top 10. Finally, it's taken us a long time to get here, but it looks like finally we are in that situation. Gunnarsson now is going to try and force that door open. He's down the inside of Edwin Forsund into turn 1 and 2. Forsund around the outside should hang on to that position by the looks of things, and no, he's just caught up with his teammates, and so Gunnarsson's still on the inside.
He certainly is. He's trying to make it work. As the stint goes on, I assume the higher line is going to become more and more effective for the traction out of the corner, but let's see how that one works. The teammates trying to work together, but Gunnarsson still holding his own on that inside line, trying to get his nose down the inside of the 10. Not quite enough to make the move just yet, and he's actually lost the place there to Forsund, so the higher line is working.
It is. The only problem is they seem to stack up with one another on the outside line, which is a bit of a problem for them. As meanwhile, side by side, a bit further behind, Gunnarsson has managed to work his way side by side. Oliver Wallin now trying to hang on to that 10th position with Erik Lundberg just in behind. Lundberg has been going backwards in recent times, but looking to come back forward again here on the outside line as the battles in the lower end of the top 10 sort of do start to reappear again.
All 3 wide for a moment. Gunnarsson on the inside. Contact with... Oh, that's going to be a spin. Actually straightened out by the 10. Is he going to collect it up? I think he does. So caution shouldn't come out. But Gunnarsson is going to be losing time hand over fist there on that front straight. Big contact as now Bohlin is going to try and get past both Simrace Sweden cars. He jumps up into P7. Although Forsund dives it down the inside and just about holds onto that position as contact is made again.
Yeah, it certainly is. Out of the final corner they go, and in towards turn 1. Forsund will be on the inside and should have the place. He dives it in quite deep, looking to slide in front of Wallin, I think, but he couldn't quite do it. Wallin goes right round the outside, and Forsund took that gamble. It's not paid off, so he's going to pay for it down the back straight. He's nearly clear, Wallin, in towards 3 and 4.
Oh, he has, but this is a great battle. Wallin's really trying to fight this one. He had a bad qualifying from his regular position as such, let's say, especially after winning the previous race at Pocono. And finally, after 2 or 3 laps, he seems to have got past Forsund, but does the Simrace Sweden Academy car have anything to dive it back down the inside of turn 3 to try and stop that loss of position? Holmer is getting up the road a little bit. Let's see this replay once again, Ewan.
So Gunnarsson, I think, just comes up a bit too high there. Thought he was clear from Holmbom and Forsund. In reality, he wasn't clear from quite both. He needs to give space for 2 cars on the outside. Didn't quite. So he got turned around from Holmbom into Forsund, but they all straightened each other out and got away with it.
Certainly did, as we stay under green flag racing, and the battles are now working their way towards the podium places. Ericsson's still leading the way slowly but surely. He's pulling away. Such is his dominant pace in this championship. Blix is catching Brewstrom, catching Aronson for second place, although Aronson did recently just jump his teammate to get up into that second place. This is Peter Helmbro and Uvenen a little bit further down. Helmbro looking good so far this season. He's really coming strong in the final in the previous couple of races, getting on the podium back at Pocono, and also had a strong result at the Indianapolis road course as well. At least some good pace that day, and he's continuing his battle there in P12.
Don't worry about the number 14 on the outside line there. By the way, they were just lapping Thomas Cannell, the first driver to be going one lap down as a result of being passed on the circuit, although he has, of course, got damage from previous accidents in the day. Surprisingly, for such a short circuit, traffic has not been a factor so far, and it still won't be for another few laps just yet. Pontus Nordgren is 20 seconds off the lead in a 25-second lap, and we won't get traffic because the caution comes out before we can get there. It's Oscar Motin who's gone around. Timo Wildeboer as well has been involved. I think a fair few have been involved here, actually.
And straight down pit road comes Oscar Motin, but the caution has already sprung. So we're halfway through the race. Is anyone going to want to dive in for some fresh tyres? So he's got Gunnarsson on his inside. Oh, it's big contact with his teammate, the 14. So that's the 14 of Cannell. He's on his roof. Oh my word, he's sliding down the track on his roof. Cannell's already spun into the wall. His teammate makes the contact. He was a lap down. Wildeboer's there on the outside. He's obviously getting involved there. Huge accident for the 14. Look at the damage it already had. And obviously just not having a great day as he tries to continue on.
Yeah, so...
Oh, he was hit by Robert Eriksson, the 35.
I would have thought it'd be strange for him to spin on his own. So, Cannell goes up on the... Am I right in saying Motin was the one who smashed into Cannell? And that's what sent the 14 up on its roof, and in the end, that seems to be it. But we're over halfway, by the way. Pit stops will happen for some, but not everyone. Oh, that was very late from Aronson.
It will be for everyone. I wouldn't be surprised. So Eriksson, he waited fairly late to come in, and then I think it was Aronson in second place, basically went full lock to get down pit road. Someone has stayed out. Peter Helmbro stayed out. Marcus Hagman, he loves a bit of an alternate strategy. He stayed out as well for the MHE racing team, and Jocke Schur, but of course Jocke is 16 laps down off the lead. Here is your lead drivers taking their fresh set of tyres. This is their only one fresh set. So they're on these tyres to the end now. But interesting that some drivers were considering staying out until Eriksson, your leader, jumped in. And what a run for the 24. Was he able to get the 37 off pit exit? That was very tight between them.
Very close. I could not tell from the naked eye there who was ahead at the line. But it looks like Eriksson. And so they will be out fourth and fifth, but as you said, Helmbro, Hagman, Stiller all stay out. They're the only drivers in the entirety of the field who have stayed out here. They're taking a bit of a gamble. Are they taking the gamble that track position will serve them well in the final 30 laps, or are they hoping for another caution in a moment for them to pit and use fresher tyres late on and come back through the field? I'm not sure.
I think it's one of these things, if they pit, they were just going to be in that position outside of the top 10 anyway. So they might as well try something. As you say, if we have a long green flag run and then have another caution towards the end, all the current fresh tyres, they'll be worn, and then these guys will have fresh tyres at the end. So maybe it could work out, but it's always a little bit of a gamble. Depending on when the cautions come out. So, in my opinion, they had nothing really to lose when you're at the back, or not necessarily at the back, but when you're outside of the points, you might as well try something.
Can I just mention what a caution-filled race Pocono was by comparing it to this one? If this run was put into the Pocono race, put into its statistics, it would be third in as far as long green flag run goes. That's how interrupted the Pocono race was. This was that previous green flag run we just saw was longer than all but two of the runs during that race. It was quite a stop-start race 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was quite something. I wasn't quite expecting Pocono to be so caution-filled, but maybe I was wrong on that day. It certainly was. Ewan, though, I am enjoying how this race is going. This track seems to really work with these cars in terms of the raceability, if that's a word.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, usability of lots of different lines in the circuit really helps. But actually, sometimes at a short circuit, you can get into the situation where you're sort of stuck behind one another. You're all running your own race, and it can be quite difficult to sort of get battles going. Once they do, it might be okay, but it can be difficult to get battles going. But even when there is single file racing here, it does seem very possible for whoever it is to start a battle, which is fantastic to see for us, and it means that it's very possible to move through the field. That's why these three, I think, will be hoping for a late caution that they can put some tyres on. They'll be thinking, I'm not going to get stuck, I don't think, down the field. I might just have a chance to make some overtakes late on if there's a late caution.
Yeah, they might as well try something, but look at Ericsson. He's going to be outside row, second row back on fresh tyres. Surely it's going to be a matter of corners almost before he gets back to the race lead, as we were already 40-odd laps into that run. You know, a second off the pace. Definitely the tyre advantage is going to be coming the way of the 37 and all the other drivers in behind. We've got Aronson and Broström from Morby Bright Esports on that third row, and then we've got Alcantech on the fourth row with Solo and Blixt. So definitely some teammates lining up side by side as they come back to the restart. Ewan, a little prediction. Do you think there's a possibility we go green to the end?
I'm going to say no. I think there's going to be one more, which is all we can afford, by the way, if we want to finish under laps. But yeah, I can't see this race going fully to the end, especially because of these three in the way of everybody from the front.
Yeah, this might be a bit of carnage. Let's see, pace truck comes in and the Bohlin's doubleheader is going to get underway once again. Helmbro takes the green flag. Marcus Hogman in second place and Marcus Stiller in third. They are all on old tyres. Look at the grip already from the 37. He's going to drive right the way around the outside of a three-wide situation, but he has the confidence to do so on those new tyres. Broström's just going to get squeezed out a little bit. We continue to be three wide. Aronson in the 24 dives up the inside as well. We're four wide momentarily. This is absolute carnage with the older tyres. Everyone's driving around them like they're standing still.
And the real problem is when you find yourself in the middle here, you can get battered around very quickly, and there you go. Just one lap under green, and we've already gone back to caution. Again, I'm afraid. It is... oh, the pace truck's come out right in front of them. That nearly caused a crash as well. Who is dropping down a little bit further back? Can't tell for the moment. We'll have to get a replay.
We certainly will. That is, yeah, changed around quite a lot. And to be honest, the carnage that caused in the front sort of 10, 15 drivers, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that a little bit further back causing a crash. Everyone's getting very bunched up there. Those drivers on the old tyres, I think they should have come in. I think they should have come in, to be honest, but it's always easier to say in hindsight. Let's see what we can find out from this. So it was the 99. This was the car that made contact earlier, and that's the 34 of Yokushu. I mean, they continue. Was that it? Was that all that brought out the caution? That is a big shame for us, you know, losing some extra laps. That is, yeah, unbelievable considering we saw one of the Alcantech cars, was it Gunnarsson, have that big spin on the front straight that didn't cause caution. Well,
there you go. In real life, that one on the front straight probably would have been, and that recent one probably wouldn't have been. So we've just reversed them around instead. So you know, it's fine. It seems that is all for bringing out this caution. So that is a bit of a shame. What it does mean, though, now that we've completed another lap under caution, we've officially lost 400 kilometres to cautions this season, which is roughly one for every six, and that is two drivers not impressed with each other.
Yeah, I don't like to see that. I know it's this style of racing, but you shouldn't be spinning drivers out there. The 34 clearly showing his frustrations, pushing Emil Reinbach around, and yeah, not...
This is freedom motorsport, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I don't know what the rules are in this category, but either way, you don't necessarily like to see it as such. Bit of a weird one because it was a pretty pathetic crash. It's not like he sent him up into the wall like we've seen earlier, but either way, he's obviously mad about it. Marcus Stiller comes in. So Marcus Stiller has chosen to Yoka there. Not happy at all. He is not happy. But Marcus Stiller comes down pit road, finally deciding to take off those tyres. But I believe the other drivers have stayed there. Yeah, Marcus Hogman, he's still out there on the track. And of course, Peter Helmbro in second place.
Helmbro did a very good job to hold on, by the way, early on in this race. I just think he's going to have a terrible time on this restart, though, because he's on the outside line this time, as opposed to the inside. I think it was a really dangerous place for both Hogman and Stiller to find themselves in the middle of 3 wide, and it would have persisted for quite a long time if we'd have gone green for a while. So that could have been really dangerous for them, and I think it's going to be similarly dangerous for Helmbro to find himself on the outside as he's about to on this restart.
Yes, indeed, and of course he won't have control of when we get back to the green flag. That will be Jesper Eriksson, the 37, who led in the opening stages of this race when we did have that slightly longer green flag run. Had a 1.5-second lead, and he is looking strong today, but the drivers in behind are trying to let him, or trying to not let him get away. And we still do have 25 laps of action coming away. Hopefully action coming away. 25 laps of racing. Although it is going to be getting a bit tight with the race time in terms of the number of cautions that we've had in this race.
Yeah, Linus told us at the start, didn't he, that or just before we went live, that we can only afford 4. Now, if we were to go to the green to the end, it would pretty much have to equal our longest green flag run of the day so far. In fact, we'd have to better it. So we would have to see something we haven't seen so far today if we want to get a green flag run right to the way to the very end. I know I said before the last restart that we would have 1 more caution, but that would be it. I think that prediction is becoming more unlikely now, to be honest, with 25 laps to go and no cautions that we can afford now before the end.
Indeed, as they go side by side once more. Lap 54 of 79, and remember, the top 25 of this get reversed to go into a second race of action, as we will have that reverse grid race that could always cause some further upsets in this championship. For the likes of the Alcantech cars just joining in, they need to get every point they can if they still want to get into the playoffs, with just a few short months to go until the end of February and Daytona, where the regular season ends, and the top 15 will continue on into the playoffs. There's still plenty of action to go before then. The pace truck is bringing everyone around the final corner. Jesper Eriksson will have control of the field, and he goes quite early, and it is a good run for the 71 of Broström on the inside line. Helmbro with a terrible start. He's lost about 5 car lengths to his front row compatriot of the 37. Up the inside is going to be for a lot of drivers. Helmbro on the old tyres. Remember, he isn't going to have the grip to hold on, but just how many places is he going to lose as we have 24 laps remaining in this race? Eriksson has a good start, as we've seen a good run also for Blix. He's going to jump up inside the podium places.
Well, quite apart from the fact he didn't quite react to Eriksson in the way that he would have liked, he doesn't have the tyres to deal with it anyway, Peter Helmbro, so he stuck him on the outside. Oh, there's a cross-boner in the background. Oh, and a big crash. There's going to be a pile-up back there. There's going to be a pile-up. It was the battle between Dan Holmer and a few others, I think. Holmer just cut across somebody who really stepped on the brakes in towards turn 1 and spun all the way around. That is a caution brought out immediately here, I'm afraid, at the end of, or on lap 56.
Yeah, trying to work out exactly who's dropped down, but I think it's a number of drivers, so I have to wait for the replay of that one. Drivers went all over the place on the live timing tower, so definitely multi-car incident there, and that is not what you want to see on the restart. All the drivers starting to push the limits a little bit, and the caution is going to come back out. So this means we will lose laps in this race. So therefore, the drivers who still need to pit for tyres, well, actually I think everyone might just have done that. Now it was the 18 getting into the back of Dan Holmer, and then as Oliver Bohlin on the inside, further contact was made, potentially with Holmbom there, and then I think there's a few more contacts on the inside just off camera.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there in the midfield. But it all started from Lundberg just hitting the back of the 79. Just seemed to misjudge it, really. And then there were some real hits there in the background. Tommy Alto got right into the back of Cedric Holborn, was that? Or somebody else, don't know. But there was some big contact, certainly, in the midfield there that has brought out our fifth caution, I should say, of the race. And now, indeed, for the 3rd time this season, we will be losing laps, we believe, to time.
So Helmbro stays out for Marcus Hugman. Goes into the pit lane. So Helmbro, he's playing the long game. He's like, well, if we keep getting cautions like this, I might just keep a top 10 place. He lost 5 places that time. So we have 8.5 minutes to go, which would be 17 laps if we go green. But of course, we still probably got another couple of minutes of this. So it is going to be probably somewhere along the lines of 10, 12 laps to the end. So we are going to be losing, to be honest, probably about 9 to 10 laps of this race. Such is the amount of cautions.
And also, I don't think we can afford another caution in terms of time unless we are going to finish under caution for the second time this season. Because it takes so long, just over a minute, one lap per caution. We've been having 6 lap cautions here because the track's so short. So that's going to be about 6 minutes for those of you good at maths. So it's, and look at the top left already, we're heading towards 6 minutes as things stand. It's going to be very difficult indeed for us to fit another caution in and indeed fit another restart after this next one if we do have to do that. Yeah, looks like this race is going to be dramatically shortened.
Oh, certainly. So that is very good for the likes of Peter Helmbro, who stayed out there, and also of course Jesper Eriksson, less laps to lose his lead as such, but he has got Broström on his outside. And remember how the points work as well, is we're still getting the same amount of points. So today's races, the 2 races are very important in terms of the amount of points scored for tonight. We are already going back to side-by-side action, so maybe a slightly faster restart here as the drivers try to work their way towards the end of this race. But looking at how everyone is pushing, of course the tyres are starting to get a bit older. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another spin before the end and finish under caution. Yeah, absolutely. I certainly hope not, but it is very possible. And yeah, you're right to point out this is a big point scoring day as far as the championship goes, that's for sure. You could rack up well over 100 today, and that would give anybody with inside the top 9 of leading the overall points at the end of the day. That would be pretty remarkable. So it's a very, very big day indeed, and these final 6 minutes going to be very important indeed. Should be about 15 laps to go if we go green from here to the finish. Can Linus Broström get himself the first victory of the season, or is Jesper Eriksson going to hold on? We are, with one more lap, going to get back to green flag racing, and then we'll have to see if Eriksson can hold on. No one has really challenged him so far today, to be honest. Even in the longer green flag sections, he's always been fairly comfortable up towards the front. But we do know the likes of Broström going for that first win of the season. We know Eriksson is aggressive. We have Blixt rejoining the championship after missing the first half of the season. He's going to be hungry to try and get a win as well, after missing out on the championship after being in contention last season as well. So loads of big names up towards the front, and they're going to have just about 4.5-5 minutes when we get to the green flag. Yeah, absolutely. That's not going to be long at all. It's going to be way less than the 15 laps I said earlier on. It's going to be a pretty big run to the finish. Eric Blicht is going to have a real good chance here to try and win his first race of the season, of course, and his first appearance as well. That could be pretty important for him to kickstart his shortened season. Pace truck comes in, 5 minutes to go on the clock, and the Bohlin's doubleheader gets underway once more. This is potentially the end of the first race this evening. The 37 has a good run, but it's the 95 up the inside for second position, who might have a good run. It's been good all day to be on the inside on these restarts. Broström is going to have to battle and defend on the outside. We're 3 wide, drivers in the wall in the background as they try and fight for these final places. You never know, caution comes out. That will be the end of the race effectively in terms of your position, as Blix does hold on to second place. Uben and Bohlin were really close into 3 and 4 there. Edvin Forsund on the upside of 3 wide as well, but they all get away with it. Blicht into second now has a great chance to try and run down Eriksson, but it was another brilliant restart. He's so good at these launches off of turn number 4, getting in towards turn 1. He can just bring those car lengths away. Now, can he hang on for these final 4 minutes? And indeed, the laps that are going to come with it, probably still 10 to go here. Absolutely, it is amazingly fast racing around this track. Oh no, there's caution. Stiller is involved. The 14 of Canel just tags the back of him as well. Caution comes out. That will be the final places. So Jesper Eriksson is going to get the first victory of the evening as they will follow the pace truck to the finish of this race. Let's see what happens. 3 wide. Stiller comes up, and unfortunately can't quite see who he makes contact with, but unfortunately a 3 wide and a squeezing on the exit of turn 4. Was it Canel or one of his teammates? Looked like him. I don't know though quite. There's someone going very slowly there at the on the back straight. I don't know who it is though.
I reckon they might have been involved. Yeah, shame for Stillett, but that's the real risk he took with his strategy. Look what he could have got if he stayed out. Helmbro still in 6th.
Oh, it was the 200 of Pfeffer gets spun up into Wildeber there, and unfortunately that is just going to cause some carnage with Cannell making further contact. That was a big run up the track, Ewan, to be honest. I mean, there are 2 cars and he came in at quite an angle. It wasn't, like a small bit of contact. He really came up.
Yeah, exactly. I would certainly put that one on Stiller personally. That he came up into Pfeffer. And so, even though he may well see it differently, so that is going to be the end of the race with 2.5 minutes remaining. That will be 3 laps probably, unless it makes us do an extra one like it did at Pocono, and that will be the race. Jesper Ericsson taking his 3rd win of the season.
And the top 25 get reversed, which, as it stands, would be Erik Lundberg and Bjorn Broström on that front row. Hagman Platt on the 2nd, Gunnarsson Hagström on the 3rd row, and then some big moves needed to be made by these drivers at the front. They'll be starting right down the back of the field, well, towards the back. We have 36 cars out there. Of course, Paul Eriksson, he'll be down in P25, so basically 2/3 of the field back, and that is a lot of work to do. But it was a slightly longer race, so I have 106 lap stage on lap 45, and it will need to stop on fuel. But definitely a pit stop coming in that race.
Yes, so Helmber can't do that again, I suppose, but he certainly could do something.
That's a shout for Helmbro, by the way. Sorry to cut you off there, Ewan, but I was just realising, he's going to get P6 with having, not taking the tyres, where Marcus Hogman, who eventually decided to go late, like he didn't fully commit to the strategy, he went late, he's down to P23.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think in the end it's turned out, but again, you talked about it earlier on, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and this race could have gone very, very differently. They would have seen Helmbro finished in 36th, not 6th, so it's all hindsight in the end, but he has made the right call to stay out. To be honest, I would have gone with the call that those guys who pitted did. I probably would have stayed out under the caution that most went in for the same reason that they stayed out. But then I probably would have gone in under one of the 2 afterwards, just because I thought there would have been another quite long green flag run to the end. But those didn't materialise, and those are the risks you take with pitting under caution.
Yeah, it's always a risk, but it was the good call for Jesper Eriksson to go down pit road, and he basically almost forced everyone behind to come down as well. Ayrton barely made it into pit lane, and then he almost actually got the lead off pit road, but he's ended up in P4. So Blix has done a great job to jump himself up. I mean, he's up 8 places in this race as well. So the 95, first race back this season, and he's looking very strong. The Alcantech cars, I think they're going to be some dark horses in these final 7 races of the regular season.
Yeah, they're going to be some real features for sure of the remainder of this regular season, that's for sure. I mean, I calculated during this race that I think they would have to get a top 10 every day for a chance at the playoffs, and of course they'd probably need to win a race as well. They're not getting in the top 10 or so in points, which is probably what you'd need, top 5 in points, so they just need a race win and the top 30. I think that means they need to be in the top 10 every day, but Blix has done that very well indeed.
Oh, certainly. He's having a good one as the final lap sign is out, and Jesper Eriksson is going to win here at Iowa, and he takes another race victory. What a run it's been from Jesper Eriksson. He's had a difficult few races, but of course he is going to just follow the pace track home and take another easy victory. He's had 2 wins so far this season. This is going to be number 3. And no one else has even had a second victory. So he's now going to be 2 wins ahead of everyone, looking very strong indeed. But we'll have to see how the season goes. This is round 8, and he's going to be taking 3. So that ratio is looking very good. However, Ewan, he did fall apart in the playoffs last time. So it's going to be quite important to keep that one going.
Yes, it's the beauty of the playoffs. I mean, these things can happen very, very easily indeed. If you don't get a good final 5 races, then you'll be toast. So it's all well and good for Eriksson right now. He's giving himself a great advantage with playoff points, but the important part of his season will come later.
And for the second race in a row, we are going to finish under the pace truck, but this time around it's Jesper Eriksson in the 37 machine who takes victory at round 8 of the season, the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. That was, of course, not all of the racing this evening. We will have the reverse grid race. Top 25 from this result are going to be reversed, and we'll go racing once more for another 107 laps of action. Quite a few cautions in this first race. Hopefully the drivers can calm themselves down as we get to race number 2. But certainly, Ewan, this track has the potential if the drivers can keep it clean.
It certainly does. Unfortunately, we only really got that once here today, and so it was just the one long green flag run. But Jesper Eriksson dealt with it well and ended up winning the race.
Certainly did. Eric Blix on his return in second place for Alcantech. What a run that was, up 8 places in this race. Broström and Aronson and all Morby Bright Esports second row, with Solo, Helmbro not stopping at all in this race, getting a P6. Holmer, Forsen, Wallin and Uvenen round out your top 10. Holmbom, Tier, Lepit on his debut this season in P13, Alto, Ganst, Schott, Tidemo, Eriksson, Skoglund and Hagström inside your top 20. Gunnarsson there on his return. Unfortunately, he dropped down after being involved in 1 or 2 of those cautions. He's in P21. Dylan Platt on his debut in P22. Hagman, Broström, Lundberg, Dahlstrand, Norgren is the final driver on the lead lap. Before some drivers who had some issues today. Wildeberg, Pfeffer, Stiller, all involved in, I think, more than one of the cautions. Reinbach, he was just struggling all day after being involved in that big wreck at the beginning. Jukka Schur, he was not happy, finishing down in 32nd. Kinnell, Moten, Fredriksson and Wang. So let's see how that one goes. And we'll very quickly grab an interview with Jesper Eriksson in the number 37. We'll quickly just get a few words. Jesper, just how was the race out there? It seems like you had some good pace when we had that green flag run.
Yeah, it was awesome. To be honest, this track was quite good, so I really enjoyed it. And it feels sweet to win after Pocono. It's a bit of a revenge for me, so I'm happy.
And now you're going to be down in P25 for the restart. What do you think you can do from there? I mean, Blix behind you, he did make 8 places in this race.
Absolutely send it.
That is what we like to hear. So, yeah, have a drink and we'll see you for race number 2.
Thanks, boys.
And as the drivers get themselves warmed up, we'll take a few messages from our partners and we'll be right back for race number 2. And the action doesn't stop tonight. The Bohlin's double header continues on as we go to the next round of the season. So many points being gifted out tonight. We just had round 8 here at the Iowa Speedway, and it was Jesper Eriksson taking victory behind the pace truck in a caution-filled opening 79 laps of action. But we remain here, of course, for the second race, 107 laps this time around. And here is your grid. Lundberg and Broström on your front row, with Hogman and Platt on the second. Gunnarsson and Hagström, they will round out your top 6 drivers. Skoglund and Eriksson are in the top 8, with Tademo, Schott, Gantz and Auto on your front 6 rows of the grid. Lepit, Tier, Holmbaum, Uvenen, Wallen and Forsland inside the top 18. Holmer, Helmbro, Solo, Aronson, Broström and Eric Blix are inside your top 24, and your last race winner Eriksson is in P25. Douster, Norgren, Wildeber, Pfeffer and Stiller round out your top 30 for the final few drivers who had major issues in the previous race. Reinbach, Schur, Kinnell, Motin, Fredriksson and Stefan Wang as well for the 36 drivers to go for this second race of action. And of course, so many points. We have another stage coming up as well, more stage points. We have something we don't always mention in this series. We have the point for pole position. We have points for fastest lap, a couple of points for leading the most laps, a couple of points even just for leading a lap. So many points today on this double header. It is really an important day for the championship. And Ewan, we get back onto the track for the second race. And I wonder if we're going to see more of the same, or if the driver's going to learn from what we saw in race number 1.
Well, I hope they're going to take some learnings from the opening race, to be honest, and maybe just get a little bit of a longer green flag run. I think the extra, 28 laps or so will help, maybe just make everyone calm down a little bit. I did feel at times during that opening race that everyone thought, wow, there's so little time in this race compared to all the other ones that were, at the very least, would be 2.5 times, maybe 3 times the length in terms of distance, thinking, blimey, I've really got to go quickly here. But actually, they might just be settled by the fact there are 28 extra laps here in this second race, and hopefully it means a more caution-free race. We don't want to see a third race in a row in this series end under caution, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a big point. Ewan, 2 races in a row ended behind the pace truck. First race here at Iowa, and of course Pocono just a couple of weeks ago. It's not necessarily what you want to see, but it does happen. And of course we lost out on some laps as well, so definitely not the ideal situation to start the Bohlin's double header here at Iowa. But we go racing once more. Top 25 reversed gives a good opportunity for some drivers towards the front here to score some good points. We've got Eric Lundberg, although to be fair, he was up in the second row in qualifying, so he's got some pace today. Bjorn Broström in the 41. We've got Hagman, who's up there in the top 10 in the standings. Dylan Platt on his debut. Now, technically, is not his debut. He's not rookie anymore. His second race here. And then, of course, we have Gunnarsson, your champion from a couple of years ago there on that third row. It's going to be Lundberg on the inside. The number 18 machine. Oh, there's contact already. He's pushed around by the 12. Bjorn Broström is going to be involved. So many cars in that midfield. We don't even get racing, really, before caution comes back out.
What a disaster. An absolute disaster on the start. I said it in the opening race. People trying to anticipate the jump there very nearly caused a concertina pileup. Well, this time it has actually happened. And, well, it's just a disaster. Some drivers will be taken out before they've even crossed the line.
That was possibly the worst start to a race I've ever seen, to be honest, because we didn't even get the start. Normally you get the green flag and you just get, like 100 meters before you see maybe a start line incident, but that was before the green flag even rolled. We're still in the restart zone. I was actually Gunnarsson behind. I think Gunnarsson bumped Hagman into Eric Lundberg, the pole sitter. That is absolutely something you never see. We had Uvenen getting involved there, multiple other drivers. Do we have people coming down pit road already? Literally just 1 lap in. Yeah, Robert Eriksson coming down pit road with Edvin Forsland as well.
Yes, there's the only 2 so far who have got caught up in that one. I'd imagine there are a few more down towards the back, though, to be fair, that will be coming into pit lane, and Emil Reinbach is one of them. He's into pit lane early on, along with Tony Uvenen and Bjorn Broström as well.
I wonder...
Just go on.
I wonder what the stewards are going to think of that, because that's the cause is sort of making contact, if you know what I mean, but the effect and the reasoning behind that is just something that you can't have in a championship like this, as drivers are going very slow, as they're trying to get themselves sorted out, because people are behind the pace truck and everything is getting all mixed up here, but I'm sure they'll find their way, as Lundberg actually there coming down pit road after his spin. The timing is saying that Hogman is is leading so far, but of course it's going all over the place, so we'll just give it a lap or two for them to figure this out and get back into the shot, because Hogman is not even on our screens at this moment in time.
This is a huge headache, this. I don't really know what's going on. I think what happened is that the caution came out so early is that the game thought, well, we better put the pace truck out in front of them, because that's when the caution came out, but actually the pace truck wasn't there because it had just come down pit lane for the start of the actual race. So Hogman thinks he needs to come round again. What he really needs to do is wait with Jonas Gunnarsson to get behind the pace truck, because Jonas Skoglund at the moment looks like the leader, but he's not. And as you can see, he's continuing to lose time because Hogman's gone to join the back of the train. So this is a real headache.
Yeah, we'll allow them some laps to sort this out, that is for sure, because we're seeing the top two here being 14 seconds off. Anyway, let's get a replay once again of the pace truck coming in. We've got this, the inside line, really, they're actually, but this is what you mean. So yeah, the pace truck was only here, and the caution is going to basically, look, the lights come on, and he was only on like the third pit box. So everyone is basically going to go past him and effectively lap the truck. So they need to slow down and go back behind him. So this is going to be a bit of an awkward one to try and figure out, because now cars are laps apart from each other.
But unlike real life, where the pace truck driver would probably, put his foot down a bit and get ahead of them, he's still driving around like he hasn't got a care in the world. So, look at how slowly it's going. Seriously, you could get out and run quicker, couldn't you? So anyway, Hogman and Gunnarsson now finally have got the idea. Oh, and they're finally behind the pace truck as well, I think, and live pictures. And it's only just in time by the looks of things as well, because some of them are getting formed up 2 by 2. Oh dear, and we're going green as well. This is a catastrophe. This is messy.
Yeah, this is a bit of a mess. So we're going to go back to green flag racing, and I guess that is it. But half the drivers are not really in formation. So this is even worse news for the likes of Ericsson, who, of course, won that previous race, got reversed into the mid-pack, and now is going to be even further behind because we weren't bunched up in a 2 by 2. But maybe a bit of a spread-out start is going to allow us to get some green flag runs. Hogman leads, but Gunnarsson, who caused that opening start crash, is now round the outside into second place. He's just going to have to get up as high as he can, with surely an impending penalty.
It's an old-fashioned single-file NASCAR restart again, with the two leaders miles ahead of the field. I don't know why Edwin Forsland is third in the train. He's a lap down, for goodness sake, but he's started this race in third place. Dylan Platt and Jonas Skoglund are going side by side here for third, but there's about 1 million cars between themselves and second. I don't even know why that's happened. There's going to be some serious inquiries going on after this race into what the hell has gone on here, because this has been unlike any other course I've ever seen in my life.
The good news is it's only a 2-second gap back to Dylan Platt, though. At one point, that gap was about 15 seconds. So they did work something out, but even then, that's still not a completely normal restart, as the drivers now continue on. And yes, so the driver Forsland, he's a lap down along with Ericsson, Lundberg, Wang, after pitting and, all that due to that first caution period. What a chaotic start to the second race of the evening. Remember, we also have the stage coming up. Well, of course, lap 45, that'll be some time.
Yeah, but we'll, and thank goodness for that. Don't think we can deal with anything else at the moment. Go, Honbom, just slipping inside one of the lap cars. Careful, don't come across on somebody on the left-hand side there. That looked like Jonas Lepit there on the inside. He very nearly turned around and They never nearly turn each other around, to be honest, down the front straight there. Holmbaum, though, is one of those drivers who was decently up there in the first race, who's made a decent start here in the second. There's not many of them, but Holmbaum is one of them. He's now moving past Christian Gantz for 6th place nearly. So he is on the move here and looking for a pass into turn 1. Can't quite do it.
Race lead change. Hogman loses the place. Gunnarsson up into first. And this is really just a battle at the front because of that gap that we're seeing back to Dylan Platt. Remember that car behind Forsen? He is a lap down, and even Robert Ericsson, the orange car in the background for Team Superior, he is also a lap down. You have to look at quite a bit further back before we find Dylan Platt. So Gunnarsson is looking strong, and of course he was up there in that first race, had the crash which put him down, and therefore higher up in the reverse grid. Now he's able to pull away from some of the slower drivers.
There's Holmbaum decisively clearing Christian Gantz now. Ericsson moves into the top 10 for the first time as well. Oliver Bohlin is around that as well. There you can see in the background. This is sort of the big names from race 1 moving their way forward. Although Bohlin has started to move backwards a little bit, rather bizarrely. Down the inside, Ericsson in the 24th through. So 72, Bohlin is still spattling with shot there. And also the 13. And just in behind him, Linus Broström is on the low line. And I think just behind him is Ericsson, maybe, on the inside line, trying to work his way through as well.
Certainly is. What a chaotic start. Cars absolutely everywhere. This is the battle, of course, just outside of the top 10. These guys want to be working their way forward, and I'm sure they'll be able to find their way to do that over the course of the race, but certainly a bit more difficult to do so. Side by side we go with the teammates. Hawkinshaw is part of Bright Esports. Of course, he got his Morby Bright Esports, the more senior team, on that inside line of the 71 as they work their way towards the first corner, and they're just going to have to slowly but surely work their way back up this field.
Yeah, they certainly are. What a bizarre restart this has been to this race. But actually, you mentioned it earlier, maybe it would help. Actually, it looks like it has helped. The single file nature of that restart there maybe just helping these guys get underway for a nice green flag run. This is the longest green flag run we've had since that third run of the opening race, which was 24 laps long. This has been good so far. 10 laps complete at the end of this one.
Nice slide job there by Ericsson. Went in a little bit too fast, managed to save it. As we see back, this is the number 80 of Skoglund, and he's of course got Hagman just next to him. He's got Holmbaum as well, who's really pushing forward. As that is Hagman in the blue machine, about to lose a second place. The number 10 Holmbaum around the outside, keeps it up high, have the tiniest draft down this back straight, but he can't really dive because he's got Skoglund right in front of him.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem, really. He's sort of blocked in here, round the... Oh, contact looked like there to me. Hagström there, just losing a bit of time. Holmbaum will get through then into the top 5. And look at that behind. 3 wide in the background, outside the top 10 here. That's how it blinked on the very inside.
Certainly is. He's got Broström, then Ericsson, and also Lundberg on that outside line. It's just never-ending battles around here. The corners just keep on coming, and they are actually fairly fast corners, even for a short track. It's pretty crazy speedway here at Iowa. Less than 20 years old, but definitely becoming a staple of the calendar. Let's see. This is almost a little bit of contact there between a couple of the drivers. Hawkins shot goes into turn 1 a bit deeper. Around the outside, that's going to be Barry Lundberg. They don't always see that. Instead of the up and under, there's the opposite of that, and he dives it around the outside. Should have made that work.
Dear, into 3 and 4. That's Homer into the back of the 138. It doesn't really know where to go in the middle there, to be honest. And Homer now's on a very, very tight line down the side and should get through on Sebastian Tinneman and not Hackenschott, sorry. For the 18 as well, anyway. But yeah, good overtake from him eventually, as things now finally start to filter their way through. Alton now, meanwhile, past Gantz and Bohlin side by side with Lepitt inside the top 10.
Yeah, Morby Bryce was making some good moves there. Aronson already up into that P7. I mean, these are some strong points already from one of the championship contenders. Just has to just keep on going up to towards the front. The issue is that in front of Dylan Platt, there's now a 2-second gap, of course, between him and Marcus Hagman. Well, not still. Not now. There's a 2-second gap. There always has been since that messy restart that has left the top 2 to drive away from everyone else. We remain side by side here for a couple of positions. That's Lepitt trying to make the move on the 38 of Gantz down the inside of turn number 1. Can't get the run though as he got onto the back straight.
And through the 38 goes in towards 3 and 4, past the pit. This is Ericsson side by side with Daniel Solo now. Through 3 and 4. Ericsson stuck up on the outside. Not sure really how he's going to race in traffic, to be honest, because we didn't see him do it too much in the opening race. Jesper Ericsson led quite a lot of laps in that opener, and so this is the first chance we're really getting to see. He's on the outside of Solo here, and now he's going to be stuck.
Oh yeah, he is just a little bit boxed in. Solo dives it way down to the inside. I mean, look how he's gained a good 2 car lengths from that on the opening of the corner. But then as we get to the exit, the 37 will get the run. Still blocked in here just a little bit by the 50 machine. Can't really do too much. He needs to find a way to get past that to stop Solo getting through. As you see the green wheels on the outside, that is Leppert, gets the run. Oh, huge contact on that front straight. That's Robert Ericsson. He slides it to the inside. How is this not a caution? We remain under green flag racing here on lap 24. Done a complete spin and we are still under green.
Well, he was below the yellow line on the low side there, so if he went backwards down there, then it would be fine. But, I mean, we got a caution for way less through 3 and 4 earlier on in the first race, so it's a bit of a miracle, really. This is what happened. He was just coming up into Forsland there, and it's a bit of a miracle that everybody else avoids. That's really close. That's not a caution, really close.
Yes, so tight indeed. As we're on to lap 26, we remained green for a long time after that first lap caution. About 20 laps now. Blixt is up the inside there, trying to make his way through. Of course, these guys still just outside of your top 10, which is quite incredible. But of course, they did start way down due to the reverse grid nature of this race. Is the battle for P13. Holmbaum is also making moves. He's now up into the top 5, getting past Hagström.
Yeah, so important passes being made here to get into the top 10, but this is a really good showcase, I think, for a lot of drivers here, that they do have the ability to race with these guys who often qualify better than them and don't often see them throughout much of the race because they're up front, but actually they can very much race with these guys and make life very difficult indeed. I think maybe some of these top drivers would have been surprised slightly by how difficult they're finding some of these passes.
And remember, the longer this stint goes on, the more we get the tyre wear. And we're already seeing a number of drivers be about a second a lap slower than their fastest lap of the race so far. So the tyre wear is kicking in. And as the stint goes on, the drivers who are slightly better on their tyres will start to come out, as that's a big move there to the inside for Hagström as he has the wiggle on the exit of turn 4. So I wonder if any drivers will start to work their way forward if they can hold on to their tyres. One of them normally is Linus Broström, but he's stuck in his awkward battle at the moment.
Yeah, Broström's on the inside there of the pit down the into 3 and 4. And he is finding this pretty tricky. That's what I mean about drivers, especially like Broström, who's often so quiet in these races. He's having to get loud, really, and make these moves by his own accord, and some doing it better than others. Alexander Alton's made great progress so far. He's side by side with Cedric Holmbaum, and he looks like he's through now into the top 5.
Certainly is. They are a second off the back of Jonas Skoglund, just up the road as well. They've got some lap traffic. That's the 41 of Bjorn Broström just ahead of them too. We're seeing a couple of Alcantech cars find themselves together as Blix is now onto the back of that battle. So definitely an interesting race of how this one just keeps on going, and the laps are going very nicely. And I'm loving actually this long green flag run that we're sitting. Oh, you've got to be kidding me! As I say that, the caution comes out. I was really enjoying the battles, how they were unfolding there, how the laps went on. But caution is out. Let's see what caused this. This is Stiller in the 013. He makes contact with the back of Lundberg. Then Fredriksson gets involved. He does go 90 degrees where he's on the track compared to, of course, what we saw earlier being off the track for Ericsson. And the caution does come out.
Sorry, that is objectively funny.
Where's Lewis McGlade when you need him? Commentator's curse.
Oh my God! If that isn't proof that it exists, then I don't know what is. That is extraordinary. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, there's going to be a few drivers not very pleased about that, I've got to say, and a few are probably more pleased. Interesting that even a couple of drivers from the top 10 pitting in. Oliver Bohlin from what was that, 6th place at the time, 7th place, sorry. He's come into the pit lane already. That's an interesting call.
Remember, similar to the first race, they only have one set of new tyres to put on. Is this just going to be for fuel? Or is this going to be tyres as well? They need to stop for fuel, whatever happens. They need about 10, 12 laps of fuel, approximately speaking. But tyres is the question. Surely it's too early to go to the end. We had a long run there, but it's only 30 laps. You've got more than double that still to go.
Yeah, exactly. This is difficult. I don't think you should be taking tyres at this stage, to be honest, but that doesn't mean that they're not at this stage. To be honest, it's entirely possible that they are trying something a little bit different. And to be honest, is it the worst call to pit in early and then gain that track position slowly from everybody coming into the pit lane over the course and then holding on at the end? We could have a very caution-filled end just like we had earlier.
Certainly will. It's quite incredible how the race can change so quickly. We're having such a good run there. We go 30 odd laps, and remember, we do have the stage coming up at lap 45, and the stage does not care if we are under caution. So those extra bonus points are still there for some of the drivers so far who would actually gain, for instance, like Dylan Platt on his debut round as such, debut evening in the championship. If he gets a P3 up there, he'll be loving that one.
Exactly. I mean, again, still a very long way to go until he can start dreaming of that, but a fantastic start. Jonas Gunnarsson as well, having good run in the lead, of course, but I think some of those drivers at the front now are going to start to find this a lot more difficult than they did on that secondary start of the day. I mean, Eracingligan is in 5th place, Jesper Eriksson is in 8th, and Eric Blicht in 10th. That's just 3 of the top 10. The big names are a lot closer to them this time round than they were 30 laps ago.
Yes, they certainly will. So some big movers already in this race, but then also some big losers. It looks like Ericsson is going to be out of this race. We are seeing, of course, quite a few drivers laps down. Uven is 11 laps down. Bjorn Broström is 24 laps down. I know it's a short track around here, but that is a lot of time lost already due to the opening couple of cautions. And I'm sure that lap 1 will still go down in history as one of the most chaotic starts to a Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan race.
One of the worst starts probably as well, to be honest. It was not brilliant, I'm afraid. Trying to anticipate the launch, I think there's going to be in 2 weeks' time surely something in the driver's briefing that says do not try and anticipate the launch of the green flag, because otherwise you will end up stamping on the brakes in front of somebody else who can't quite react because they think they've gone green, and it causes the kind of thing that we saw on the restart there. But also maybe it's going to be put down to something to do with the reverse grid. It's entirely possible that it played a role in that.
We say that, but an ex-champion, the number 33, Jonas Gunnarsson, he was one of the main drivers involved. So, yeah, difficult one. Everyone trying to get some places. And talking of the next round that you mentioned, 2 weeks' time, on the 19th of December, we go racing at Charlotte. So that is the final race of 2024. Then we'll have 4 races in 2025 to round out the regular season. Nashville, New Hampshire, Darlington, and Daytona. And let's see, of course, who is going to be still in contention. This is round 9 of the season, so this will be approximately 2/3 of the way of the regular season already. The season is absolutely flying by, with just 19 races in total, including the playoffs. We are going side by side once more. Will Gunnarsson on the inside. He will have control of the restart. We've already got Alex Aronson there, 3rd back on the inside row, the number 24. He's going to be looking very racy. Pace truck comes in, and the Bohlin's doubleheader will get underway once more with a great start actually from the 12 on that outside line. Might just about be able to hold on, but Dylan Platt is looking strong on the inside line. How aggressive does he want to go? Not quite enough, as the 12 swoops around the outside to take 2nd place.
Yeah, so Gunnarsson and Hagman holding on quite nicely to their positions, and Holbom and Aronson there very much held back here by Skoglund and Platt going side by side. This is going to hold back the big names from race 1 for that little bit longer, because here comes Ericsson. He can't get anywhere. There's another one though in the background. Somebody's got their bonnet in the air. There's been a crash through 3 and 4.
Is that the 84 of Uvenen? I think might have been the one with the bonnet up in the air. Let's see if there was anyone else to cause that up the inside. We're going to see Eric Lundberg. Is the 607 is going to be turned around. That's Nordgren. Turn to the left. up to the right goes Lundberg and into the 84 of Tony Uvland. So messy restart there. We go 3 wide. It's actually Forsund who came down and made that contact initially with Nordgren, pushes Lundberg up into the wall.
Shame to see, because we've got our third of the race now already, and that is way above the rate at which we can afford to sustain them. If we want to complete the 107 laps, I think we're already starting to look at this race and think, well, I don't think we're ever going to complete the scheduled amount of laps here.
In that case, do you stay out and just keep this track position? I mean, I guess if everyone comes in under one caution, like we saw the previous race, you might as well come in and take tyres. But if not, and we're going to keep getting cautions, if we lose laps, you're not going to need to stop for fuel either. It could open up the door for someone to do a Peter Helmbro and sneak a top 5, even with doing a strategy like that. But it's always difficult to guess how that is going to go, because you never know how the cautions are going to come out. But I think, Ewan, we can say they're going to be fairly frequent.
It looks like it. I mean, just to give you an idea of where we are in terms of making it on fuel. Fuel is supposed to be 95 laps under green with big tyre drop-off of 2 seconds in that time. So the tyres could be a real problem. But that would mean this race would need to be shortened by 12 laps for you to make it. Now, 2 things about that. The race 1 was shortened by 10 laps, so if it is shortened by the same percentage as it was in the previous one, that would be about 12 laps here, so that works out quite well. And of course, if there are a lot of cautions at 6 or more, then you will be saving fuel and probably able to go longer than 95 laps anyway as well. So maybe it is going to be possible to go stay out on fuel. I think especially for those leading 4 at the moment, it might well be a good idea to do what they did. But remember Helmbro from the last time, even though he had loads of new tyre runners around him, he still held on quite well for a good finish. So I don't think even if everybody else comes in, it's worth coming in as well. You could stay out alone and get a good finish.
Yeah, if I was towards the front here, I would definitely be considering it with how the racing is going on so far. Lap 40, so the stage is coming very quickly indeed. That is at lap 45. And of course, the pace truck is going to be out for another couple, so it's only going to be a little short shoot to the stage where those extra points will be given out, down to P10, which is currently Michael Hagström in the 61. That is the blue car that you'll see at the back, the completely blue car. He's going to be holding on. He's got a solo Ganson Leppit trying to take that extra point away from him, though. So hopefully they can do that. But certainly, it's one of these races where you just have to keep yourself alive and sort of going in a straight line with how chaotic it's been.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the main aim. And we've already seen what's happened to plenty of those who have not been able to do that so far. Robert Ericsson seems to be out of the race. He retired under green when he was spun around and somehow didn't bring out a caution. Björn Broström is still going around though. He's 24 laps down after spending a long time in pit lane. Emil Reinbach still going around 4 laps down. Eric Lundberg and Tony Uvland are still in pit lane, along with Oscar Fredriksson getting damage repaired under this caution. So those guys are a long way down as well in this race. So yes, it's difficult. And it's a chaotic race. You've got to stay out of trouble though. Stay out the pit lane maybe is the strategy here.
I mean, if you're a championship contender, I mean, we've already seen Ericsson get up there into P7, Broström P9. I mean, they're already getting to decent places, but just how cautious do you want to be to try and hold on to those points? Or is it one of those things where you actually have to kind of defend by being aggressive and trying to get yourself out of these situations? It really is a tough one for these drivers. And the double header, so many points on offer this evening. And it has to be probably the most chaotic evening of racing of the whole season when all those points are on offer. The championship certainly might turn on its head. You never know how the race is going to finish. We're still just over half of this race to go. This is the feature race, the second race of the evening here for the Bohlin's double header. And Jonas Gunnarsson is going to get us underway in that 33 machine on his return to the championship this season. Hagman has a decent start, but once again, Dylan Platt is looking strong on that inside line. Is he going to be much more aggressive than we saw on the previous time? Yes, he is. He holds much more speed. He's going to be able to defend from second place on that inside line, but Gunnarsson has absolutely gone at the front.
Yep, he certainly has, and this is all going to help. Platt goes straight on almost at turn 3 there. Hardman gets through into second, and he does pull it back in time, does Platt, but that wasn't an ideal corner or so. This is very ideal, but for Gunnarsson, indeed, he was able to run away at the front.
And big move from Jesper Eriksson. He's made up about 2 places on that opening lap. We're side by side with the teammates of Broström. He's followed through on the 24 as well. So Arvidsson's just gone backwards on this restart. And that is not the ideal situation for him, as there's 2 championship rivals get past him in just that opening lap.
Yeah, that's not an ideal restart. He's been making some good ones so far, but this is certainly not one of them, and now he's trying to put it right. Diving to the inside. Oh, meanwhile, Eriksson straight to the side of Platt, trying to make it work on the inside as well. That could get difficult, as the race 1 winner does now get into the top 3 for the first time in race 2, just in time for the stage points. Lap 45, and the stage points are now being awarded. Gunnarsson, Hagman, then Eriksson. Who's going to get 4th? It's Platt, who hangs on from Holmbaum, then Broström.
And it looks like Skoglund has just kept onto that final point in the 83 machine. Leppit just missing out. Solo jumping up inside the top 10. He was outside at the restart. So good moves from them. And as you say, Gunnarsson taking those extra 10 points. He's going to need them, I think, because of some penalty points coming his way. So he'll certainly continue on in that leading position as we go and continue on in this race. Of course, we've still got a few more laps before we get to the halfway stage, but this racing is continuing to be very aggressive.
It certainly is, and it's been a good restart so far for aggressive racing, which is exactly what we're here to see. And thankfully, this has been a longer green flag run than the last one, but we are already teetering on the edge of running out of time for this race. 3 cautions down already. We can only really afford another 2, but let's see what we get for the remainder of this one. Down in towards 1 and 2 again. Eric Blix watches on as Alexander Arvidsson looks to the inside of Cedric Holmbaum here for 5th. It's not been a good restart for Arvidsson. Can't really figure out why either, to be honest.
Yeah, just hasn't been able to reignite that pace that he's got a little bit earlier. And of course, with where we are in the race, everyone is on the same, the same tyres and everything like that. So definitely a weird one, because he was so good and so aggressive in that opening green flag run. He was able to work his way forward. Oh, someone's had a spin there. That's Kinnell. He's not having a good day at all. He's been involved in a number of incidents, but we do remain green.
Well, I'm not sure whether that was a spin or whether he was just coming out pit lane or something, but anyway, he's certainly dropping down. Was on the low side there and is being put a lap down along with a few others in this race so far. Side by side again between Arvidsson and Blix for 6th place. Solo and Broström for 8th place as well. It's all going on here inside the top 10, but all behind Jonas Gunnarsson, who's gotten out to a nice lead now.
And of course, Eriksson continuing to move forward up into that 3rd place soon. I wouldn't be surprised if he works his way up towards the front. For the 2nd lap in a row, the 24 is up into the wall on the exit of turn 4. Just a bit of a graze, but certainly a tough restart for him. He was able to actually get ahead, of course, Broström in the end, who's dropped back behind him. Almost going to go 3 wide here on the entry of turn number 3. Holmbaum goes high. Blix makes a big dive to the inside, gets past both of them. Here's Kinnell, fortunately keeping it below the apron, and the caution doesn't come out, but you might be right, just coming out of the pit lane there, I think, spinning up the tyres.
I don't know. I think you were right the first time, to be honest. I think he was on the low side, just getting loose foot. I don't know why he was there, but
it was a weird place.
It was a weird place, very weird to find yourself. So anyway, he's down at the back, 4 laps down now as Solo gets to the inside of Holmbaum. That's not going to give him a very good exit though. It's all well and good diving in deep to 3 and 4, but your exit's not going to be any good. And Holmbaum comes back through. Arvidsson comes back through on the outside line as well, looking for the position. But look at them migrating a little bit higher now into 1 and 2.
And halfway through lap 53, we are halfway into the race, the final race of this Berlin's doubleheader. And Solo is going to make his way into P6. Although the Highlander is often good for the exit, he's going to have to chop that one off, and he certainly does. Covers that off, makes the move, and now it's Arvidsson's turn to get past the number 10 of Holmbaum. He dives it to the inside. He's not going to quite get far enough ahead to chop up like the 13 did, so he's going to have to work hard for it in turn 3 as well.
Be very interested to see what happens if there's another caution in the next 30 laps or so, by the way. Do they go for your strategy of not pitting at all, or will we see lots of pit stops? Because as you say, we have now officially crossed the halfway mark of this second race, and we're getting another nice run together here of over 10 laps. This is getting interesting now as we continue to follow the battle for 6th place. Catching behind is Broström and Jonas Leppit as well, and plenty more in the background are pretty in touch as well. 28 still on the lead lap, don't forget here.
I think it really depends how many people would come into the pit lane under that situation. Because if everyone comes in some ways you might as well if you're in the top 5. But if you're going to be the only car out on older tyres, I don't see a way you're going to be able to hold off to the end of the race. But let's see if and when we get to that caution period, which has been out so many times this evening already. We go side by side with Broström, getting past the 10 of Holmbohm, who's lost a couple of places in the previous few laps, but still looking strong there in P9 so far. He was making good progress at the beginning of this race, but is now starting to drop back with a couple of the championship contenders as such going past him. And the 24 is now trying to reignite his race because he's lost a good couple of seconds to Ericsson, who's 4 places ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Jesper Ericsson's made a really good restart here, and he's having a good race as well. To come back from 25th, of course, after winning the opener. He's in a good position to maybe win again here, and that would be a really remarkable stamp of authority on the rest of the field going into the final remaining races of the regular season. Just 5 to go after this one, don't forget. And not only is Ericsson putting his own situation better off in the playoffs in February, or in March I should say, but he's also just giving everybody else less chances to get that race win that would see them into the playoffs automatically. So he's preventing other people from winning while also benefiting himself, ready for the round of 15.
Yeah, some people hate it, some people love it, but I personally do quite like the playoff system and how it works and how you can sort of play some games as such, sometimes unintentionally with how you put your car, as you say, with side by side in the background with Solo and Aracingligan on the exit of that final corner. But Ericsson is really trying to work his way through, and Solo is really trying to hold on to this place. That's also in the background of that we're seeing the Dylan Platt. He is trying to keep his place off P4, but he's got one of the fastest drivers, the 95, trying to dive up his inside.
Yeah, and can't quite do it for the moment. Hagman, meanwhile, defends the inside off of Jesper Ericsson here. Oh, hello, moves to the outside, and that was pretty close. I thought Hagman there was just going to park Ericsson up high, and 37 would come straight into the side of him, but no, Ericsson goes for the run and the exit instead, and we'll have another go through 3 and 4. Hagman a bit lower this time.
Lovely side-by-side battle. They've been there for over a lap now, and on the exit he's going to get the run, and he's going to be up into second place. He's got a second and a half to catch Jonas Gunnarsson at the front of this race. Lap 62 we are on now, but what some nice battles we can get when we get these longer green flag runs. It's really nice to see this track is suiting the car so well, and some drivers are really making it work. We are seeing, I think, some drivers catch up in the background as well. Dylan Platt's more in the picture, as I think he's chasing down Hagman, but of course look at Blix also coming in the mirrors.
Yeah, I don't think Dylan Platt is going to be particularly threatening to the likes of Ericsson, but maybe to Marcus Hagman he could be. Eric Blix certainly will be to the both of them, and he'll be hoping to rip past them both in the next few moments. But been really impressed with Blix here on opening night for him. As I mentioned before, needs a top 10 probably every night, with indeed a race win somewhere along the way as well. I think that race win's going to be pretty difficult to get in this race, but he's doing well in terms of accumulating those points that he might need for the playoffs at the end of the season, as Dylan Platt does get down the inside and through on Marcus Hagman. Blick try and follow him as well.
Huge send to the inside there. We're just about 3 wide coming through turn 3. As we come through turn 4, Platt's going to hold that on that outside line, but is Blix going to have it when we get towards turn number 1 as they clock off another lap? Big send down the inside there as he gets through. Can he come up enough to block off the 12 on the exit? Just about. The 12 will have to hold off on the throttle just a little bit, and he makes that move stick. So the 95 working his way forward. I'm sure he's going to have the 23 in the not too distant future. In the background is always still seeing Solo and Aracingligan try and go just about side by side, so they're chasing these guys down as well, really trying to push towards the front.
Yep, Solo's been pushing on quite well here in this race, on in the 6th position now out of turn number 2, holding on from Alexander Oaten, also needing some pretty big points if he wants to get anywhere near the playoffs towards the end of the season as well. Marcus Hagman slipping to 5th, by the way. It did surprising me a little bit, his speed round here, or lack of, compared to a lot of the other rounds this season. He's 5th place in the points coming in here, less than 40 behind Linus Broström. Obviously it'd be a lot more than that now, but for whatever reason round here he just doesn't seem to be quite going as quickly as he has been at the other rounds this season.
it is a bit of an awkward track, and it seems to be working quite a bit different to what we've seen. So maybe that is part of it, as we see Leppert here. I mean, this is really good for the AKA team. They got 2 of their drivers up inside the top 10. Of course, Leppert and his teammate Platt up there in 3rd place. Great run for them in the second race. Oh, I say that, he's been turned into the wall. The number 10 of Holmbaum clips the back of him. It looks like he's continued on nicely, but he's going to have some damage on that car, and that's such a big shame after the nice things I was saying about him.
He's got such big damage there. He's got basically no front right anymore. He is dropping down like a stone, and that, I'm afraid, is not the first time that Cedric Tombum has turned someone tonight, with varying consequences, of course, but Leppert is having to come in and make one of the first green flag pit stops of the day, and it is not a tactical decision.
Yeah, that is such a shame. What it does mean is Yokoshu gets up inside the top 10, and he's now gained 22 places in this race. What a chaotic start does, and also some good racing, I'm sure, from them. He's now on the back of Holmbaum, that very car we were just mentioning. He's up the inside, almost on contact himself, and he has a drive in behind of Helmbro, also trying to make his way through after a strong opening race. So the 34 now up into that 9th place. They got 3 seconds up ahead to the next car. Helmbro's trying to follow him through.
Let's not forget that Holmbaum made contact with Shu in the opening race of the day, which didn't help earlier on. Or was that a different one? Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's got past him now. Shu followed through by Peter Helmbro, who's in the top 10. Holmbaum now just outside of it in 11th place. But by the way, we're settling in nicely here. I don't want to do what you did, but I'm going to go for it. Longest green flag run of the race so far. Indeed, either race so far.
And what a battle we are seeing. Looks like Ayrton's come out on top of that, so he's got past the 13. He's up into that 6th place. Hagman is coming to them up ahead as well. So the 24 is still looking fast in this race. In terms of his gap to Gunnarsson, he's further off the lead, but his gap to Ericsson isn't too much different, actually. So the race pace is looking strong still in that number 24 machine as we come back to Dylan Platt in the number 23. He's in 3rd place. Has been for quite a while, looking strong up towards the front. Ericsson got past him, but he's been able to hold on in this place, and now the 95 is coming for him, but he's been there a few laps and he hasn't found a way past just yet.
I think Eric Blicht is going to find a way through at some point, though. With all respect to Dylan Platt, I don't think he is quite as quick as Ericsson or Blicht, although he is holding his own very well at the moment, I've got to say. Lap 73 in this one, and this is getting more interesting with every green flag lap that we get now, because I reckon that these drivers, first of all, they would be having to do all 107 laps if we go green to the end, but also they wouldn't have the fuel to do it. And so this man on your screen right here, Dan Holmer in the 79, would be the first driver, as far as I can see, to be able to make it home. He's already been in so far today, and so he would be winning the race by miles as things stand.
If it stays green, around the outside he goes. He's going to have to scrape the wall to get past the number 10, and of course he's on 30 lap fresher tyres than everyone else around him as well, so that's why he's making some good moves. So yeah, as you're saying, as the race progresses, Holmer might be looking very strong. I wonder though, with those cautions, just how much fuel everyone else has saved. It's probably not going to be enough. Looking at history, it might not be enough to save a pit stop completely.
No, exactly. If we're assuming they need to save 12 laps, you'd need about 24 laps of caution. I think at the very most we've had 18 laps. So another caution, and they might be able to make it home on to do the 107 laps. But I don't think they can currently, unless anyone's out there fuel saving under green right now.
Which, looking at the racing, I don't think anyone's saving anything. Tyres or fuel or even dignity sometimes of how aggressive this racing has been today. Holmer is going to dive it up the inside there of Skoglund, the number 83. Around the outside, he's going to be losing that place as he's cut off. I say that, there might be the up and under for the 83 down his back straight. No, Holmer's able to have the drive, and he's working his way slowly but surely towards that top 10, and he's looking very nice indeed. As Solo loses another place, he's going backwards. Has he been into the wall? Brostrom's got past, and he's now 2 seconds behind Aronson that he was fighting with so well.
Yeah, Brostrom in the top 10 though at least, and I think he'll be most pleased about that really, that it's another consistent and clean finish for him, as Holmer is overtaken by, or just kept behind by Schott there on the back straight. This field a lot more spread out now due to the longest green flag run in the day, and so lap traffic you'd think would be a role, but actually it's not really playing a role even at this stage. Oliver Wallin's only a couple of seconds away from being lapped, but after after that, the gaps are pretty big down there. It's not full lap traffic stuff just yet.
As we're seeing, Eracingligan use the Miami line to get past Hagman there in turns 3 and 4, and he's getting the run on some lap traffic. So he's got Bohlin there and Hagström to get past, or Kenneth Tier, I should say, to get past in turns number 1 and 2. As he's making his way forward, he's now up into that 5th place. Hagman's going backwards. And let's see if the gaps are going to close up between any of these drivers as we get to lap 80 now. Just 27 laps remaining after all those cautions. We're actually fairly close to the end of the race now.
Yeah, exactly. It's running by very, very quickly indeed. Just over 25 laps remaining here, and we're approaching the end of lap 81 at the moment, with Eric Blick still stuck behind Dylan Platt. Now, when this battle started about 10 laps ago or so, Jesper Eriksson was not actually that far ahead of Platt, but Blick is taking his time over this one, and it's allowed Eriksson to get a bit further up the road. Now, a second and a half ahead of him, and that would be quite the catch to have to make, even if he gets through right now, which he's looking to do.
Certainly is. The 95, he gets his nose up there through turns 1 and 2, but he doesn't have the run as we come down the back straight. He's going to dive it in once more. Platt isn't defending too hard. The 95 should have... No, he doesn't actually. I thought he was going to dive completely down, but the 23 still has good speed on that outside line. Let's see if this continues to work for him. So the 95 has to back out of that one. Doesn't dive this time around, and Platt putting his car exactly where he needs to do to defend this position.
Yeah, it is costing them both a bit of time, and I don't think Dylan Platt will really care. This is a really worthwhile defence for the driver of the number 23, and so he is doing everything he can to keep Eric Blick behind, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. All it's doing is annoying Blick, but he won't care about that necessarily. There's only just over 20 laps to go here, and surely with every lap that passes here, the gap to that front two is getting too far away from Blick now. This is the only thing you can realistically hope for now. 3rd place, maybe.
Indeed, as this is a great battle that we are seeing for the final place on the podium. And remember, the race distances are slightly different, and the round format today with the 2 races is slightly different, but the points are still there, and this could be a top 3 for Dylan Platt on debut, which would be equivalent of any top 3 at the other races. So what a drive this could be. Let's see if he can hold on to it. As we've seen Solo drop even further back, he's got to have damage on this car. He's got to have damage. Jokka Shu and Helmgrove got past him now, and he might even drop outside the top 10 by the end of the race.
Yeah, with all respect to the drivers who's overtaken him, few of them I don't think are quite as quick as Daniel Solo, and so I think you're right. There must be a bit of damage on this car somewhere that is really holding him back in this one. Oh, it's in front of them. There's someone scraping along the wall, someone sliding on the way in. Looks like everyone's got away with it.
Yes, Nordgren, and don't get involved with some of the drivers on the lead lap. Of course, Nordgren was involved in one of the cautions earlier. That is why he's, laps down. But that was almost a bit of a moment. But everyone managed to get through that one rather nicely indeed. We're now under a second for the lead, by the way. Gunnarsson is being chased down, and Eriksson is getting closer. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this race, that swaps around. As talking and swapping around the 95, has he finally got this position? Can he chop up in front of the 23? Yes, he can. But Platt is going to come back at him for sure.
That's exactly what he needs to do, just slide up in front of Platt, and that's going to put him off, and brake late for turn 1 and 2 as well. Eric Blichter's got 3rd place ahead of Dylan Platt. That was a good overtake, a worthwhile one as well, because Alexander Rausch was coming up quick in 5th place. They've got to be wary of him, but Blicht, having secured that place now, surely will be able to run away with 3rd place and consolidate that maybe all the way home here with less than 20 laps to go.
And we've got green flag pit stop. Marcus Hagman in the 12 machine, that light blue machine that was up there towards the podium places. He's now dropped back into the pit lane. He's going to get some fresh tyres. Let's see if anyone is going to follow him. The 24 almost looking to get past there, but then has a bad run. And now Cedric Holmbaum, who of course is not in this battle after going a lap down. He's trying to come through the middle of them and get involved and lose some time for the 24.
That should probably tell you who can make it home from here, by the way, on the lead lap, because there are already a few drivers. Dan Holmer's 10th, he can make it home. So can Oscar Fredriksson, who's 12th, Marcus Stiller, who's 15th, and Oliver Wallin, who's the last driver on the lead lap in 20th place. Those are the 4 drivers who can make it home. And look at this, there are drivers, green flag stopping. Wildeboer is in now from the back end of the lead lap, as well as Patrick Pfeffer, who's 2 laps down. These drivers are making green flag stops because they're starting to realise maybe there won't be another caution in this race.
Aronson might have finally got this move done on Dylan Platt. He's going to do it a lot quicker potentially than Blix. Blix was there for about 20 laps trying to get past, but Platt now loses that one. But look at the gap he's got behind into Brewstrom. This is looking very good. They just now need to choose the right decision, because if you pit now and then there's a caution and everyone pits anyway, you're going to go to the back of the line in that situation. But let's see how it works out of the cautions, or if we remain green to the end with just 15 laps to go.
Absolutely, there's not long left to go at all, and Ericsson is running down Gunnarsson, although he's in. Oh, he's into the pit lane, is he? Jesper Ericsson, the points leader, having to come into pit lane. This is going to be very interesting now.
Yeah, actually, I guess I was a bit wrong. If loads of drivers pit and you stay out, then we get a caution and you have to come in. You will actually go to the back, so maybe you do want to be the driver coming in. But then, if we see the likes of Homer, if it goes green to the end and we see Homer stay out, you're also not going to win. Very interesting decision times for these drivers with what they want to do, but surely they are going to go as long as possible, you would assume, to wait for a potential caution. Gunnarsson stays out with a 3.5 second lead.
Depends really how many others come in from the lead lap, I think, because you're right, if there are not many left on the lead lap, then it is beneficial to stay out for as long as possible. But if there's still loads left and they've all pitted, you can drop yourself right to the very back of the field. So it very much is about playing the situation here. There is Ericsson coming out of the pit lane. I think he's outside the top 20 here in the... wait to see where he filters out. No, I was being a bit dramatic. He's 15th. And Homer's in as well. That's a big surprise. Thought Homer could have made it home, but he's in.
Interesting here for Homer. So surely he didn't take... He must have... I'm trying to work out, because surely he would have taken tyres. But if he didn't, if he took fuel and if he took tyres and no fuel at the caution, that wouldn't make any sense, because you're sat there doing the tyres anyway, so you might as well fill up with the fuel. Bit of a weird one as we're getting towards 10 laps to go in this race. We've had a long green flag run after the chaos at the beginning, and it is now potentially some more chaos. Some drivers will pit, some drivers won't. Who can get to the end? We're just a little bit too short on the fuel tank. Some splash and dashes coming your way.
I think Gunnarsson is going to try and make it home, because if you were going to pit in, then under green that is, then you would do it the lap after Ericsson. There's no way of coming in with him because he's behind you and you can't predict when he's going to be in. But if you are going to come in, then you've got to do it the lap afterwards. He's not done that, Jonas Gunnarsson, and so he has to get to the end from here. You can see Oscar Fredriksson on the bottom right of your screen there. He can make it home. We think. I thought Homer could, but I think he can make it home in Oscar Fredriksson. He's looking to get past Bohlin, but he needs to look over his shoulder at Ericsson, who's only about 10 seconds behind him on newer tyres at the moment. And last time around, Ericsson gained 1.5. There is time left in this race for Ericsson to get past Fredriksson and possibly even still win here.
This is incredible. There's really like 3 strategies going on here. Gunnarsson not pitting at all, Fredriksson with the early stop, and now Ericsson with the late stop, as we're also seeing Platt and Brewstrom. They are having this battle, which is for currently her 3rd and 4th place. Ericsson drives through the middle of them, of course, not on the lead lap. Don't be worried about that. That's not full position. Brewstrom should have that up into 3rd place, but look at the grip that he's got going past. Brewstrom can't even get the power down.
Goodness me, that was a big slide, but Brewstrom looks like he's got it now. He will slide up in front of Platt and get through. And they've got to be careful here. All of these drivers who are going all the way home have got to be careful of new tyre drivers here. They'll be a lot quicker than you, and they'll be coming up in the mirrors very quickly indeed. So you've got to be watching them and make sure that you don't turn across them and get yourself involved in an accident here. Just 6 laps to go at the line for Jonas Gunnarsson.
The important factor here is Ericsson is still a lap down. There's only 3 cars ahead of him who have pit, but of course if he stays a lap down and there's a caution, everyone ahead will be able to do the pit stop and remain ahead of him, with which would probably end the race at that point. So let's see exactly how this one works out. Is there going to be a late caution to turn this thing, or are we going to see the drivers at the front stay out? And if they do, I don't see Ericsson being able to catch them completely, at least for the race lead. Here is Gunnarsson. So that is going to be the lap back. He's now onto the lead lap with 5 laps remaining. Schur comes in.
Yeah, a caution would end the race, by the way. You are correct. A caution would end the race at this stage. 5 laps to go, though, for Jonas Gunnarsson. He's got more than 3 seconds over Ericsson now because he's in. Alexander Ericsson's into the pit lane. Who's left here to try and make it home? Jonas Gunnarsson, Linus Broström, Dylan Platt and Daniel Solo still remaining, having not stopped yet.
But in this case, Ericsson surely is going to have the big undercut on them. So it's a bit of a half and half strategy, but I guess maybe they were trying to make it work. And what this leaves us with is the looking at where he's going to come out. But Aronson's still in the pit lane as Ericsson comes through turn 2. I don't know if that is going to work out. The battle for P2 remains on. Broström gets through on Platt. But Platt, I mean, look at the speed that he's had in this race so far. He's still up there in 3rd place. Remember, this is his first evening of racing, just his 2nd race, technically. His first one was only an hour ago.
This is quite remarkable. 3 laps to go, and Jonas Gunnarsson is in prime position here, possibly to take a victory. I mean, I'm surprised he can make it, to be honest, but maybe the fact that he's been leading and the fact that he's had a decent gap all day long has meant that he has been able to fuel save a little bit more than what we were thinking about earlier on. Look at how many drivers are catching Platt and Broström here. It's going to be really difficult for them to have their battle.
Are they having this battle? Because they're both trying to save a bit of fuel. They've got a big gap to the 13 behind, but look at all the cars a lap down. We've got one of them up into the wall. A couple of laps remain in this race. They've literally just got 3 kilometers to go. Do they have enough fuel? Surely that's the game they've been playing all night, and maybe why they didn't quite have the speed up the front. Ericsson's made a big mistake here, if that is the case.
This is huge. White flag's going to be waving here. 1 lap to go, and Gunnarsson's losing a lot of time late on here, by the way. 1.5 seconds the gap. I'm not sure he's going to make it. I don't think he's going to make it.
Let's see what this does. 1/7 of a mile to go. He's really slowing down. He's going to be spluttering towards the end here. Here comes Linus Broström, who has not won a race so far this season. Or will Dylan Platt on his first race? Oh, huge contact in the background. Dylan Platt's taken out. And around the final corner, Broström comes around and he's going to take victory. Gunnarsson is going to come across the line to take 2nd place. And Dylan Platt, is he going to take 3rd on his debut? I think he might just be able to hold on. But Broström finally takes his first win of the season.
Unbelievable. Jonas Gunnarsson ran out of fuel through 3 and 4. That is unbelievable. He was fuel saving the entire way home, balancing that with holding on to his lead, which he did for almost every one of the 107 laps in that race, but he ran out in the final 2 corners. This is what happened behind. Skoglund was racing with Platt, and he probably should have been, to be honest. He goes straight up into the outside wall, along with a few others, but Gunnarsson runs out of fuel at the end. That is heartbreaking for him.
That was an insane save by Platt as well, helped by that secondary bit of contact and able to take his first podium, almost contacting Broström as well as he slid up around the 33. I mean, to be fair for Gunnarsson, he's still got a 2nd place finish. It was the right strategy to do, but just not enough to hold on, as Linus Broström in the 71 machine is going to try and do some donuts, but I guess he probably doesn't have the fuel to do so, so he's just going to have to sit there and get some nice beauty shots in his more Bright Esports machine. Of course, you got the Bohlin's banner on the back of his car there, and the Bohlin's double header has a dramatic finish, almost just as dramatic as how it started. What a finish, what a start, and what an evening of racing. It was a bit slow with all the cautions, but in the end, what a finish with such a long green flag run.
Yeah, absolutely astonishing finish, and fuel games going on towards the end as well. A new winner in the season. He has found some fuel by the looks of things, and maybe he's out now. He can't have much left after all of that. A few of these drivers not making a stop at all. 5 drivers: Broström, Gunnarsson, Platt, Solo in the top 4. Hackenschott got overtook there at the end by Oscar Fredriksson, who did stop, but what an amazing job by those drivers who must have saved, I reckon they saved around 4 or 5 laps of fuel on circuit there in that race. That's a great job from them.
Yeah, really, in the end, some strategy games coming, and Linus Broström with the 71 machine takes victory just 100 meters before the end of the race, gets past Jonas Gunnarsson, who ran out of fuel on his first event, coming back for the Alcantech car in 2nd place. Dylan Platt, on his debut in the championship, gets up into 3rd place. What a race that was. He was gifted the track position with the reverse grid, but unlike others around him, he had the pace to hold on with the big big boys. Dan Solo makes it 2 Content cards inside the top 4 with that 4th place finish. Fredriksson gets 5th place. Schott, Stiller inside your top 7. Bohlin, Ericsson and Blix round out your top 10. I would say it's a bit of a strategy error for Ericsson, but he's in the playoffs anyway. Hogman is in P11. Helmbro, Holmer, Aronson and Holbom round out your top 15 to demo. Tier, Gantz, Auto and Dalstrand. All these drivers already a lap down. Oh, crazy scenes here at Iowa. 2 laps down is Wunderbar, Motin, Yokashu there, who's eventually ends in P24. He was up inside the top 10, having a decent race there. Then Skoglund, Wang, Norgren, Pfeffer, Kinnell and Leppit round out your top 30. And then we go to the drivers who had big issues today. Brostrom, Uvenen, Reinbach, Hagström, Lundberg and Robert Eriksson, who of course was involved in one of those early cautions. The 71 is going to join us as we bring him into the commentary box to get an interview. And Linus, you've been waiting a long time this season to get that first win. Of course, 9 races. Did you just think, with 100 meters to go, that you'd be taking that victory?
Well, I don't really know. I saw, I was expecting everyone to be good on fuel, but I was taking it very easy at the end there, and then Alex said that he was like 5 laps short, and then I started thinking, maybe not, and then people started pitting, so then at the end, basically, I was just trying to hold Dylan off. I saw I was catching up to Jonas, but I thought he was gonna have saved enough, and then coming off turn 2, I just saw him right there, and I knew I was going to run out somewhere between turn 4 and the line, so I just gunned it, and thankfully I managed to get around him. I'm not really sure how, but wow.
Well, it was certainly certainly a good finish and a crazy evening of racing. Let's go back to that race 1 as well, which was filled with cautions and very, very stop-start. Was that quite difficult to get in a bit of a rhythm, even when we did get back to green flag racing?
Well, I don't know if I've told you, but my favorite track is Martinsville. So stop-start is kind of my thing when it comes to iRacing. But yeah, I mean, it's when you have one tire set to change to, it's kind of hard to, predict when you're going to take it, if you're going to take it, what's going to be the right call. Now we got a bit of a run, and then everyone pitted at the same time. So, but yeah, it's a bit of a shame that it becomes that kind of stop-start race and that we didn't get to finish all the laps. But still, I had fun in that race too. Got a personal best with a 3rd place finish, and then backed it up with a fuel save win in race 2. So yeah, absolutely.
And I have to ask you as well, what on earth happened at that first start on that second race? We had a caution in the restart zone, and then there was just an absolute mess behind the pace truck. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but with all my races that I've done on iRacing, I knew what was going to happen the minute someone said, I have to line up behind the field, but I'm leading. So basically 2 cars cross the start-finish line before the caution comes out. So they've started the race. And everyone else who hasn't crossed the line yet, they line up behind the pace car with the leaders behind them. And then when we come to 1 to green, the whole field gets a wave around, which at a short track, you can't really catch up to the field. So, but I knew what was going to happen, so I prepared everyone for it. So I think we did pretty well as well. And what I could have done is delay the yellow to let everyone catch up, but that's going to mess up the whole order and everything. So, and it's going to take more time. So I just thought, let's just have everyone get the wave around, hope everyone gets going. Then we're going to have a spread out field and we might get going. And after that, we got quite a few laps in. I'm not really sure how many, but the first caution after that came on lap 31, 32. So in the end, I think it made the race a lot better. And yeah, from there on out, it was basically a fuel saving.
Yeah, I certainly agree. That was a bit messy, but it got us going. And in the end, despite all of your admin duties, Linus, you have got yourself a race victory. So we will 100% see you in the playoffs. Congratulations, and maybe we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, and thank you. And sorry to my fiance for waking my baby winning that race. Have a good day.
That's a good one, of course. Amelie, who was racing with us last season, but now, of course, has a baby to deal with her and Linus, of course. So that concludes, unfortunately, Eunice and Dylan not joining us, but that concludes a very hectic round here at Iowa. The Bohlin's doubleheader was certainly something to remember for the good and bad reasons, but the racing doesn't stop. One final race in 2024 just before the Christmas break. We go to Charlotte Motor Speedway on the 19th of December. It's certainly going to be a fun one. But of course, join us next week as well as we round out the IndyCar series as we go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course to round that one out. It's been myself, Cam Roger, Yuna Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpot TV broadcast. And until next week, we wish you a very warm goodbye.